His laugh still rattles in my head. A low, mocking thunder that bounced around the marble hall of his mansion while the whole family stared at me like I was something he dragged in from the street. "How does it feel to be worthless, son?" he asked, swirling the whiskey in his glass, grinning like the question itself was entertainment. I didn't react. I just met his eyes, calm. Too calm. "Feels wonderful," I said, "since I just pulled every penny I invested from your company." That was the moment his smile died. But to understand why I let things play out like that, you need to know what came before. For years I looked at him like he was someone to learn from. A man with influence, experience, a father figure whose approval could open doors. I married his daughter for love. Money didn't factor in, and because of her, I tolerated a lot more disrespect than any sane man should swallow. To him, I was never family. I was an accessory. A handshake at dinners. A forced smile at gatherings. A pat on the back the way someone pats a dog that does tricks. I let it slide. Love can make you swallow humiliation in doses so small you barely notice, until the buildup turns toxic. Then came the day everything shifted. A Tuesday afternoon. I wasn't even supposed to be at the office, but I'd left my watch in the boardroom. When I went to retrieve it, I heard voices through the cracked door. He was inside with two directors, speaking freely because they believed the room was empty. "My daughter should have married someone with a spine," he scoffed. "He thinks he's an investor, he's a joke. Throw him a treat and he'll wag." They laughed. And my name, my marriage, my dignity, all tossed around like garbage. I didn't walk away. I stood there behind that half-open door and let their laughter cut something out of me. Not rage. Not sadness. Something colder. Sharper. Clarity. Because they had no idea the spineless joke quietly controlled 30% of the company's liquidity through silent investment routes. They didn't know because I never wanted them to know. Not until the moment they needed the truth to sting. So I made a decision. And patience became my weapon. For 3 months I moved in silence. I brought in auditors who reported only to me. Tracked down every debt he'd buried from his own board. Measured exactly how much of the company stood on legs I was holding up. Then I prepared the fall. Quiet. Legal. Perfectly timed. I shifted my capital into a new venture under a separate structure. One he couldn't trace. One his daughter, my wife, co-founded with me after she finally accepted the kind of man her father truly was. She had heard him belittle me too. She thought it was just his way. Until she realized his way always came with a cost. The unraveling started small. A few million pulled here. A few million relocated there. Nothing loud. Nothing suspicious. Then came the ripples. Suppliers tightened payment terms. Banks adjusted their risk evaluations. Shares dipped. Then dipped harder. And all the while I kept showing up at family dinners with a polite smile, acting like the harmless husband who barely understood business. He thought he was towering over me. He didn't see the floor crumbling beneath him. Finally, when the company was tipping past its critical point, I arranged a family gathering under the pretense of good news. He loved crowds. Loved having a stage. He raised his glass, fully in performance mode, and addressed everyone. His children, his relatives, his associates. "Look at him," he said, pointing at me. "A man who adds nothing. Tell me, how does it feel to be useless, son?" The laughter rolled across the room like he'd rehearsed it. I waited. Let the silence settle. And then, "Feels great," I said, "since I just stopped investing in your company." Everything froze. "Invest?" he sputtered. "What investment?" He didn't even know how much of his empire depended on me. He never cared to find out. I slid a document toward him. A formal notice. Final withdrawal. Legally binding. Irreversible. He snatched it, scanned it, and all the color drained from his face. His brother whispered, "This will sink the company." A cousin murmured, "The banks will pull their support." Someone else breathed, "He's finished." He looked at me, for the first time without arrogance, and said, voice cracking, "You wouldn't." I already did. He slumped into his chair. The great man undone by the one person he'd always dismissed. Within 48 hours, the stock imploded. Within a week, the board demanded his resignation. Within a month, his throne, his pride, his kingdom, gone. My wife and I built our own company after that. Quiet. Clean. Independent. He tried calling, but I didn't pick up. Not out of vengeance. Simply because his voice no longer mattered. Sometimes I remember that question. How does it feel to be useless? And every time I smile because the truth is simple. I was never useless. I was waiting. And patient men are the most dangerous kind.